5 tips for when the cops demand your ID. Let's get into it.
You have your driver's license fingerprint on you?
I need you to let me know what's going on.
Like I said, I'd be happy to tell you once I see information.
I'm not giving you my information until you tell me what you pulled me over for.
Can you refuse a police officer if he demands your ID? It depends on your state and the situation. So we are going to look at several different situations, and I'm going to give you 5 tips on what to do if a police officer demands your ID. And if you wait around to the end, I'll also give you the most important tip, the thing you must never do if a police officer asks for your ID. Number 1, let's say a cop is walking down the street and he sees you walking around the corner. Maybe he doesn't like the way you look. He walks up to you and says, "Hey man, you got an ID? Hand it over." Look, I've actually had this happen to me. I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I felt like I was being shaken down by the cop. Don't you feel violated when cops do this? I know I did. It always reminded me of the old Soviet communists that used to walk up and say, "Show me your papers." I always felt like the police were trying to shake me down and treat me like I had done something wrong, and I was innocent. Here's the deal. Generally speaking, if you are minding your own business, you should never have to show your papers to the police. In fact, unless you are driving, you are not required to carry an ID on you of any kind. So, when can the police ask for an ID? We all know that you're required to carry an ID to fly on a plane or to drive a car. But things get a little confusing after that. In Heibel versus 6th Judicial District Court of Nevada, the Supreme Court upheld state laws requiring citizens to reveal their identity when officers have reasonable suspicion that criminal activity may be taking place. This is commonly known as stop and identify statutes. Essentially, these laws allow police to arrest criminal suspects who refuse to identify themselves. As of 2023, 27 states had stop and identify laws. Now, regardless of your state's laws, remember that the police can never make you identify yourself without reasonable suspicion to believe that you have been involved in criminal activity. But how can you tell if an officer asking you to identify yourself actually has reasonable suspicion? Remember, police need reasonable suspicion to detain you. So, one way to determine if they have reasonable suspicion is to determine if you are free to go. You can do this by saying, "Excuse me, officer, are you detaining me or am I free to go?" If the officer says you are free to go, leave immediately and don't answer any more questions. What if the officer says you're not free to leave? Well, that means you're being detained. If you are being detained, that means the cop is going to demand your ID. Here you have a choice. Number 1, you can decide if withholding your identification is worth the possibility of arrest or being held further. Or number 2, you can provide your ID in the hopes that it will clear up whatever the officer is asking about so that you can be on your way. Your state laws are critical in this situation. For example, if you're on probation or parole in California, revealing your identity could lead to a legal search. An important point to remember here. The place to fight the cop for illegally holding you is in court, not on the roadside. Fighting on the roadside leads to you getting hurt and being charged with more crimes. The officer's decision to detain you will not always hold up in court. Why? Because reasonable suspicion is a vague standard, and many times police officers, they get it wrong. So, if you are searched or arrested following an officer's ID request, contact a local attorney and fight it in court. If you happen to be in the North Texas area, we can actually help you with that. Number 2, what if you are pulled over and cops walk up to your window and demand to see your ID? Here, the standard is different. Most states require you to identify yourself through your driver's license and your insurance, and failure to do so could end up landing you with a Class C misdemeanor offense. In fact, in Texas, some police departments have even claimed that if you don't ID during a traffic stop, they will arrest you.
If there's enough probable cause for us to make an arrest in that case, we will. And we want people that are out there to be aware of the laws and the new laws, because it's not a defense to your prosecution that you were unaware of a law.
Now, here is where things can go sideways. Cops are not allowed to legally pull you over for a traffic stop unless they have reasonable suspicion to believe that you have committed a crime, usually a traffic violation. What usually happens is that the police pull you over, you know you did nothing wrong, and then you want to know the real reason why they pulled you over. Kind of like this guy.
Roku Ads Manager puts Roku's reach within your reach. Sign up at ads.roku.com.
Yes?
Do you have a driver's license, registration, proof of insurance?
What are you stopping me for?
Go ahead and provide that information. I'll be more than happy to let you know.
Well, you have to have a crime or infraction for me to identify myself, sir.
However, under most state laws, the police do
That is very much true, but like he said, it depends on the state, right? So that's
not have to tell you
sketchy.
the reason that they pulled you over, even though you can always ask. The
What?
problem, though, is that people get upset when the cop doesn't provide a good answer, and then they want to refuse providing an ID. This can get dangerous very quickly. I have literally seen cops break people's windows and pull people out of their car for failure to identify during a traffic stop. In fact, here is one of the most infamous examples that I've seen.
How you doing, sir?
How you doing, man?
You have your driver's license vehicle information on you?
What's going on?
I'd be happy to tell you once I see who I'm talking to, all right?
I need you to let me know, like, what's going on. Like, what happened?
Like I said, I'd be happy to tell you once I see information.
I'm not giving you my information until you tell me what you pulled me over for.
All right, sir. Failure to give me my information is an arrestable offense, okay? So you can either do this the easy way or the hard way, all right?
For what? What charges? On what charges? Wow.
He almost got hit by that car driving by trying to be tough guy. Look at you. That's
It's an arrestable
crazy.
offense, okay? So you can either do this the easy way or the hard way, all right?
For what? What charges? On what charges? Wow.
So he's going to drag that man through the window instead of unlocking the door and pulling him out. Now you're going to probably cut that man's back up from that broken glass. There you go. He just ate a mouthful of door. He is an angry cop. He wants to wrangle somebody and rough somebody up. He ate a mouthful of car. He literally bit the curb, but on that car door. I mean, on the top of that hood. Look, watch. Watch. Hey, hold on. I'm gonna put this in slow motion. That is hilarious, bro. That is actually hilarious, fam. You trying to get in? All right, so let's watch this, right? Hold on, I'm gonna let it speed up because it's not right there. All right, here it goes. He ate a mouthful of that. That is hilarious, bro. That is hilarious. So you're that mad for no reason. He just asked, why are you pulling him over? Why? Now, see, that lawyer is saying that the cop don't have to tell you, but guess what? Why won't you tell me? That means that cop wants to make this situation worse than it needs to be because he's probably having a bad day. His wife probably made him sleep on the couch. He isn't bringing much money home per year. He's mad at what's going on in his life. So he's trying to take it out on innocent civilians, bro.
You ain't getting out of the car. Get out of the car now. Get out of the car. On the ground.
He was out the car.
The point, if you truly believe the cops do not have reasonable suspicion and are violating your rights, fight this in court and not on the roadside. Plus, most cops are going to find out who you are anyway because most states require you to provide a copy of your insurance and have valid registration. Failure to have valid insurance can be a basis for a traffic violations, and cops always ask for this. But that doesn't mean you have to talk to the police. Roll down your window just enough to slip the driver's license and proof of insurance to the police officer, and then exercise your right to remain silent. Number 3, what if you're a passenger in a car and a police officer walks up to you and demands that you provide your identification? If the cop is being aggressive with you as a passenger in a car and demanding your ID, this could be a sticky situation. But remember, legally, the reasonable suspicion to pull over the car was based upon the behavior of the driver, not you as a passenger. So, in most states, a passenger in a car is not required to identify themselves, unless the cops have separate reasonable suspicion to believe that the passenger is involved in some other criminal activity. The problem? Sometimes cops will start to claim their officer safety is at risk. Cops will many times attempt to use this as a way to justify what is known as a Terry pat-down search to check you for weapons. And if they can get to court and establish reasonable suspicion, this will allow them to justify asking for your ID. Operators of cars must identify to the police. But if you're a passenger, not so much. But what if the officer now decides to arrest you? This brings us to number 4. What if a cop walks up to you or pulls you over and arrests you for a crime? Even if it's a crime you didn't commit, do you have to identify now? In most states, you don't have to actually provide a physical ID to comply with the law, but many states will require you to provide your name, your date of birth, and sometimes your address. In fact, in many states, including under Texas law, only after you have been lawfully arrested are you required to provide your name, your address, and your date of birth. Deciding not to provide that information can actually land you with a misdemeanor charge. But what if you are not under arrest? Or what if you're not being detained? In that situation, you are not required to provide an ID or answer any questions at all. Always double check your state laws. But many people are surprised to learn that in many states, if you have a police encounter that is not a traffic stop, you have no duty to identify yourself to a police officer if you're only being detained. Finally, number 5, what is the number one thing you must never do if a police officer asks for your ID? Never give a fake ID or lie about your name or your date of birth. I have seen so many situations where a cop comes up to someone walking down the street and asks for their ID. The person panics and makes up a name or gives the cop a fake ID because they're afraid they may have active traffic warrants. Here's the problem. If the cop detains you and then determines that you provided a fake name or a fake ID, they can now actually arrest you for the misdemeanor crime of failure to identify. Why? Because in most states, it's a crime to intentionally give a fake name or a fake ID to a cop who has lawfully arrested you, lawfully detained you, or has good reason to believe that you may be a witness to a crime. In fact, in most states, you face a greater punishment and more serious consequences if you lie about your name or you give a fake ID to a police officer. For example, in Texas, if you fail to identify after being lawfully arrested, you can face up to 180 days in jail and up to a $2,000 fine. But if you also happen to have a warrant out at that time, the crime now increases to up to a year in jail. It's always better to remain silent than to lie to a cop about who you are or give him a fake ID. Cops always seem to find out. So, never give a fake ID or lie to a cop about your name. If a cop arrests you, you don't have to give him a physical ID, but in most states, you have to give your name, your address, and your date of birth. If you are a passenger in a car, you can remain silent and not identify at all, and force the officer to establish separate reasonable suspicion that you've committed a crime. If you are pulled over by the police and you're the driver of the car, you're going to be required to provide your driver's license and your proof of insurance. And finally, if you're walking down the road and the cops walk up to you for no reason and ask for your ID, you are not required to provide any information. In fact, in that situation, you should ask if you are free to leave and then be on your way. But what if the cop says you are not free to leave and now he's going to search you for officer safety concerns? Can he do this? Check out this next video where I break down the limits.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. That stuff's so crazy. Your best option is just to stay away from the police the best you can, bro. Appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. I'm gone.